She took a job cooking for cowboys on a ranch, not knowing one of them owned the land they stood on. She stirred the beans with a wooden spoon worn smooth by 100 hungry hands, her knuckles cracked from lye soap and winter wind. The pot hissed over coals, steam rising like ghost breath in the pre-dawn chill. Behind her, the bunkhouse snored, boots kicked off crooked, spurs tangled in blankets, men dreaming of shade and soft things. She didn't know. Not yet. That the man sleeping closest to the stove, the one with the scar running from eyebrow to jaw like a lightning strike on dry timber, that man owned every acre they stood on. Every hoofprint. Every drop of sweat in the dirt. Every sigh she let slip when she thought no one was listening. The wind howled through the hollows. She'd come west because the preacher back in Missouri told her God favored the brave. Told her the frontier forgave. Told her if she could cook, she could survive. She believed him. Carried his letter of recommendation folded inside her Bible, tucked beneath her shift like armor. Her name was Mercy Holloway. 23. Widow. No children. No debts. No future, until she found the Bar M spread just south of Dead Man's Bluff. They needed a cook. She needed not to starve. Simple trade. Or so she thought. The first time she saw Silas Creed, he was mending a fence with bare hands and a face like thunder. Sunburnt knuckles. Eyes the color of cooled gunmetal. He didn't speak when she offered him coffee. Just nodded. Took the tin cup. Drank it slow. Watched her over the rim like she was a puzzle he didn't care to solve. She didn't know he was the boss. Thought he was just another hand, quiet, rough, dangerous in the way wolves are dangerous when they're not growling. She learned quick. Cowboys don't ask questions. Don't offer thanks. Don't look you in the eye unless they're fixing to lie. A gunshot cracked the silence. It came from the north pasture. Mercy dropped the ladle. Ran barefoot through gravel and cactus needles to the porch. Saw 3 riders galloping hard, dust pluming behind them like smoke from a funeral pyre. Silas stood in the middle of them, rifle smoking, hat low. One man slumped over his saddle. Dead before he hit the ground. The other 2 kept riding. Didn't look back. Silas holstered his pistol. Didn't flinch. Didn't shout. Just walked back to the porch like he'd been fetching mail. Mercy stood frozen, flowers still dusting her apron. He looked at her. Said one word. Rustlers. Then walked inside. Sat at the table. Waited for breakfast. She served him eggs. Fried crisp. Bacon curled at the edges. He ate without a word. Scraped his plate. Pushed back his chair. Left a silver dollar beside his fork. That's when she knew. No cowboy carried silver dollars for breakfast. No hired hand left payment like a hotel guest. Her stomach dropped like a stone in a dry well. She'd been cooking for the man who signed the paychecks. The man who decided who ate and who starved. The man who shot first and never asked why. Far off, a church bell tolled. It came from the ghost town 10 miles east, St. Agnes, population 3, all of them buried. The bell still rang sometimes when the wind blew right. Mercy heard it that night as she scrubbed pots in the dark. Thought of her husband. Buried back east under a willow tree. Died coughing blood into her hands. She'd promised him she'd find peace. Out here, peace was a luxury. Like sugar. Like mercy. Like knowing who you were working for before you gave them your last clean shirt. She started noticing things. The way the other hands stiffened when Silas walked in. How they never cursed in front of him. Never sat until he did. How his horse, a black stallion with a white blaze like a scar down its nose, never got muddy. Never got tired. Never got less than the best grain. She saw the ledger left open once. His signature at the bottom of every page. Bold. Unapologetic. Final. She closed it quick. Like she'd seen something she wasn't meant to. Like catching a man naked. Worse, maybe. The coyotes howled that night. Not the lonely kind. The hunting kind. She dreamed of fire. Of running. Of a child's hand slipping from hers in smoke. Woke gasping. Sat up in bed. Heard footsteps outside her door. Slow. Deliberate. Stopped right at her threshold. She held her breath. Felt the weight of the cast-iron skillet beside her bed. The footsteps moved on. Down the hall. Into his room. She didn't sleep again until dawn painted the walls pink. Breakfast was quiet. Too quiet. Silas sat at the head of the table. Didn't look at her. Didn't look at anyone. Ate his biscuits in silence. The men chewed with their eyes down. Like prisoners at a hanging. Mercy poured coffee. Her hand shook. The pot clinked against the rim of his cup. He didn't flinch. Didn't speak. Just kept eating. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't stood outside her door like a shadow with boots. Like he didn't own the ground beneath her feet and the roof over her head and the air she breathed. She wanted to run. But where? The desert didn't care if you were a widow or a fool. It ate both the same. She had no money. No horse. No friends. Just flour in her hair and blisters on her palms and a name that meant nothing out here. Mercy. What a joke. Out here, Mercy was the first thing you buried. Then came the stranger. Rode in at noon with a face like spoiled milk and a duster that hadn't seen rain in a year. Name was Elias Crow. Smiled too wide. Laughed too loud. Tipped his hat to Mercy like she was a saloon girl. Sat too close at dinner. Asked too many questions. Where'd she come from? Why'd she leave? Who'd she lose? Silas watched him over his coffee cup. Said nothing. Just watched. Like a hawk watches a field mouse pretending it's not afraid. That night, Elias leaned against the stove while she washed dishes. Breath smelled like cheap whiskey and cheaper intentions. You don't belong here, darlin', he whispered. Place like this eats pretty things alive. She didn't answer. Scrubbed a pot harder. He leaned closer. Silas Creed don't pay in kindness. Pays in silence. In scars. You feel that yet? She felt it. Every damn day. She didn't see Silas standing in the doorway. Didn't hear him. But Elias did. His smile vanished. He straightened up. Nodded once. Walked out without another word. Silas stepped inside. Closed the door behind him. Soft. Deliberate. Mercy didn't turn around. Kept scrubbing. Water sloshed over the rim. Dripped onto her boots. He's trouble, Silas said. Voice low. Rough. Like gravel under a boot heel. She didn't answer. He'll sweet-talk you. Then he'll sell you. Or worse. Still, she didn't turn. Silas stepped closer. Close enough she could smell leather and gun oil and the faint tang of blood under his nails. You think I don't know what you are, he murmured. You think I don't see it? The way you look at the horizon like it owes you something. Her hands stilled. You're running, he said. Same as all of us. But you're running from ghosts. I'm running from men. She turned then. Looked him in the eye. Who are you running from, Silas? He didn't answer. Just stared back. Eyes hard. Empty. Ancient. Then he walked out. Left her standing there. Water cold on her wrists. Heart pounding like a trapped bird. The next morning, Elias was gone. His horse too. His gear. His stink. Vanished like he'd never been. No one asked questions. No one looked for him. Silas sat at the table like always. Ate his eggs. Drank his coffee. Didn't mention a thing. Mercy served him. Hands steady this time. Eyes dry. She didn't ask. Didn't need to. Some silences tell louder stories than shouts. But the desert remembers. 3 days later, they found Elias's body half buried in an arroyo. Throat cut. Wallet gone. Boots still on. No sign of struggle. Just a man who talked too much to the wrong woman. Mercy vomited behind the woodshed. Couldn't stop shaking. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Kept seeing his smile. His teeth. The way he'd looked at her like she was already his. Silas found her there. Kneeling in the dirt. Shaking. He didn't touch her. Didn't speak. Just stood there. Watching. Waiting. Finally, she looked up. Tears cutting tracks through the dust on her cheeks. Was it you? He didn't answer. Didn't need to. She stood. Brushed off her skirt. Walked past him without another word. Didn't look back. Didn't cry again. Not where anyone could see. The men noticed. Started treating her different. Quieter. More careful. Like she was glass about to break. Or a snake about to strike. She cooked. She cleaned. She kept her head down. But inside? Inside, something had cracked open. Something dark. Something hungry. She started watching Silas. Not like a woman watches a man. Like a wolf watches prey. Learned his habits. His silences. His tells. The way he rubbed his left thumb when he was thinking. The way he always slept with his back to the wall. The way he never drank more than one whiskey. Never laughed. Never sang. Never spoke of his past. She wondered what he was running from. Who he'd killed. How many. Then came the letter. Delivered by a rider with no name and no smile. Handed it to Silas at breakfast. Sealed with red wax. No return address. Silas read it once. Face went pale. Then hard. Like stone in winter. He crumpled it. Tossed it in the fire. Watched it burn. Didn't speak for the rest of the day. That night, Mercy found the scrap in the ashes. Not fully burned. Just enough. One word left legible. Rebecca. And a date. 10 years passed. She tucked it in her Bible. Beside the preacher's letter. Felt the weight of it. Felt the story behind it. Felt the knife twist in her gut. Who was Rebecca? The next morning, Silas saddled his black stallion before dawn. Didn't tell anyone where he was going. Didn't say when he'd be back. Just rode out. Dust swallowing him whole. Mercy watched from the porch. Felt the emptiness in her chest. Felt the fear. Felt the strange, sharp pang of loss. She shouldn't care. Shouldn't feel anything. He was her boss. Her jailer. Her executioner, maybe. But she did. She cared. And that scared her more than rustlers. More than ghosts. More than the desert itself. The men got restless without him. Started drinking harder. Talking louder. Looking at Mercy longer. She kept her knife sharp. Kept her door locked. Slept with the skillet close. One night, a hand grabbed her wrist as she carried water from the well. Smell of sweat and whiskey. Grin full of rot. Silas ain't here to protect you now, darlin'. She drove her elbow into his throat. Dropped the bucket. Ran. Didn't stop until she was inside, bolted shut. Heard him laugh outside. Then footsteps fading. She slid down the door. Shaking. Crying silent tears. Hating herself for being weak. Hating him for being cruel. Hating Silas for not being there. The wind moaned through the eaves. She dreamed of Rebecca that night. Dark hair. Soft hands. A wedding band glinting in firelight. Smiling at Silas like he was sunlight and salvation. Then the smile faded. Blood bloomed on her dress. Silas stood over her. Hands empty. Eyes empty. Mouth open in a scream no one heard. Mercy woke gasping. Knew then. Knew what the letter meant. Knew why he ran. Knew why he never spoke. Knew why he watched her like she was a ghost he couldn't bury. Rebecca was his wife. And he'd killed her. Or let her die. Or failed to save her. Didn't matter which. The guilt was the same. The silence was the same. The emptiness in his eyes, that was the same. She understood him then. Understood the weight he carried. The ghosts he fed. The reason he shot rustlers without blinking. The reason he slept with his back to the wall. The reason he never let anyone close. Because close meant loss. Close meant blood. Close meant Rebecca. She should have hated him. Should have feared him. Should have run while she could. Instead, she made him his favorite stew the day he returned. Beef slow cooked with onions and thyme. Fresh bread. Black coffee. Set it before him without a word. He looked at it. Looked at her. Eyes searching. Suspicious. Wary. Then he ate. Slow. Deliberate. Like every bite was a confession. Didn't thank her. Didn't need to. That night, she left her door unlocked. He didn't come. But she heard him. Outside. Breathing. Standing in the dark. Close enough to touch. Far enough to vanish. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Just lay there. Listening. Waiting. He left before dawn. She found a single white wildflower on her doorstep. Crushed. Forgotten. Beautiful. She pressed it between the pages of her Bible. Beside the letter. Beside Rebecca's name. Felt something shift inside her. Something soft. Something dangerous. Love in the desert is a slow death. It doesn't shout. Doesn't bloom. Doesn't promise. It waits. It watches. It withers. But it doesn't die. Not until the last drop of water's gone. Not until the last breath leaves your lips. She knew that now. Knew she was falling. Knew he was too. And knew it would kill them both. The riders came at high noon. 5 of them. Hard men. Sun-bleached hats. Rifles across their laps. Faces like axe blades. They rode straight to the porch. Didn't dismount. Didn't speak. Just waited. Silas stepped out. Shirt unbuttoned. Hair wild. Eyes sharp. He didn't ask who they were. Didn't ask what they wanted. Just stood there. Waiting. The leader spat tobacco. Smiled with no joy. Been a long time, Creed. Silas didn't flinch. Not long enough, Harlan. Mercy watched from the window. Heart in her throat. Knew this was it. Knew this was the reckoning. Knew this was the storm Silas had been running from. Harlan tipped his hat. Heard you got yourself a little homestead. Pretty cook. Quiet life. Almost forgot what you did to my sister. Silas went still. Stone still. Mercy's blood turned to ice. Rebecca. Harlan's sister. The men dismounted. Slow. Deliberate. Like wolves circling wounded prey. We ain't here to talk, Creed. We're here to bury you. Silas didn't reach for his gun. Didn't move. Just looked at Mercy through the window. Eyes full of sorrow. Full of goodbye. Then he turned back to Harlan. Do it quick, he said. She don't need to see. Mercy ran outside. Barefoot. Heart hammering. No, she screamed. The men turned. Surprised. Amused. She stood between them and Silas. Small. Shaking. Furious. He's not yours to take. Harlan laughed. Girl, you don't know what he did. I know what he is, she shouted. I know what he carries. I know what he's lost. You think vengeance fixes that? You think killing him brings her back? Harlan's smile died. It brings me peace. It brings you nothing, she cried. Nothing but more ghosts. More blood. More silence. Silas grabbed her arm. Pulled her back. Gentle. Firm. Mercy. Go inside. She shook him off. Turned to Harlan. Voice low. Raw. Real. Rebecca wouldn't want this. Harlan went pale. You don't say her name. I say it every night, Mercy whispered. When I pray for him. When I pray for you. When I pray for the mercy none of us deserve. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Final. Harlan stared at her. Eyes wet. Angry. Broken. Then he holstered his pistol. Get on your horse, Creed. Silas didn't move. What? You heard me. Get on your damn horse. Why? Because she's right, Harlan spat. Rebecca wouldn't want this. And I'm tired of carrying it. He turned to his men. We're leaving. They mounted up. Didn't look back. Harlan paused. Looked at Mercy one last time. You keep him alive, girl. Keep him human. That's punishment enough. Then he rode off. Dust swallowing them whole. Silas stood there. Stunned. Shaking. Mercy turned to him. Tears streaming. You're not alone anymore. He didn't speak. Didn't move. Just pulled her into his arms. Held her like she was the last solid thing in a world gone soft. They stood like that for a long time. Sun beating down. Wind whispering through the sage. Coyotes silent for once. Even the desert holding its breath. That night, he slept at her door. Not outside. Not across the hall. At her door. Back against the wood. Rifle across his lap. Eyes closed. Breathing slow. She opened the door. Quiet. He didn't stir. She knelt beside him. Touched his hand. Rough. Warm. Alive. He opened his eyes. Looked at her. No words. None needed. She crawled into bed. Left the door open. He didn't follow. But he didn't leave. And that was enough. For now. The next morning, he was gone. No note. No tracks. No goodbye. Just an empty porch. A cold stove. A silence deeper than any before. Mercy stood in the doorway. Sun rising. Wind stirring. Smell of sage and dust and loneliness thick in the air. She went inside. Made coffee. Sat at the table. Ate alone. The men came in one by one. Saw her face. Didn't ask questions. Just ate. Quiet. Respectful. She cleared the plates. Washed the pots. Swept the floor. Then she walked to the edge of the property. Looked out at the land. His land. Their land. The land that didn't care who owned it. Who loved it. Who bled on it. She knelt. Planted the white wildflower she'd saved. Pressed the earth around it. Soft. Gentle. Come back, she whispered. When you're ready. I'll be here. The wind carried her words away. She stood. Brushed off her skirt. Walked back to the house. The desert doesn't promise. Doesn't forgive. Doesn't forget. But sometimes, just sometimes, it waits. And so did she. Far off, a train whistle blew. Heading west. Or maybe east. Didn't matter. She'd stopped running. Now she waited. And in the waiting, she found something she thought the desert had stolen. Herself. Whole. Alive. Unbroken. The wind howled through the hollows. But this time, it sounded like hope.